everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we will start with our lecture number 5, and yesterday in the previous lecture we have studied the formula for electrostatic potential energy, and we denote electrostatic potential energy by a letter U, capital U, and it is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 divided by R. So you can learn this formula by comparing it with the formula of Coulomb's force, electrostatic field and electrostatic potential. As you know, there is a 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught term is common in all these formulas. So formula for electrostatic potential energy is U is equals to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 divided by R. Today we will start with a question related to electrostatic potential energy. So the question is 3 charges plus Q plus 2Q and minus 4Q are placed on 3 vertices of an equilateral triangle of each side 0.1 meter. Calculate electrostatic potential energy of the system, and Q is equals to 10 raised to power minus 7 Coulomb. As you know, the formula for electrostatic potential energy is 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught into Q1 Q2 divided by R, where in the numerator you can see there is multiplication of 2 charges. So as the question says, there are 3 charges plus Q plus 2Q and minus 4Q. So there will be 3 combinations. So the formula will take the form of which we have already derived. When there are n number of charges, then potential energy of the system is equals to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught all the combinations divided by R. So here we go. Potential energy of system of charges is equals to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught into 1 upon R, and the combination of all charges, that is Q1 into Q2 plus Q1 into Q3 plus Q2 into Q3. Here I put the values of Q1 as plus Q, Q2 is equals to plus 2Q and Q3 is equals to minus 4Q, and after some calculation I get it as minus 10Q square divided by 4 pi epsilon naught R. And now I will put the value of Q, that is 10 raised to power minus 7 Coulomb, and value of R, that is 0.1 meter. As you know, value of 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught is equals to 9 into 10 raised to power 9 into Q square into 10 into Q square. In the place of Q I have 10 raised to power minus 7 square divided by R. R is 0.1. So after calculating this, I get minus 9 into 10 raised to power minus 3 joule. So the potential energy of the system comes out to be minus 9 into 10 raised to power minus 3 joule. So now we have already covered the electrical potential energy of a system of 2 charges as well as of the multiple charges. Now we will move to the next topic, that is electric dipole in an electrostatic field. Potential energy of a dipole in an external electric field. Suppose this is a uniform electric field and the direction of electric field is in this direction, and I have put a dipole in uniform electric field like this, which is making an angle of theta with it. So the force on this side will be Q into E, and it will be along the direction of E, and similarly force on this negative charge will be like this. Magnitude of this will be also Q into E, but the direction of this force will be in opposite direction to the electric field. So as we know from mechanics that potential energy, work done is stored as potential energy. So in electrostats, the work done to place the dipole perpendicular to electric field. So here we will calculate the work done to place the dipole perpendicular to electric field will be stored as potential energy. As you can see, this is angular motion. In rectilinear motion, the work done is equals to force into displacement. This is in rectilinear motion. In rectilinear motion, work is equals to force into displacement. But in angular motion, we define work as tau into theta. Tau is torque. This is the work done in angular motion. So the total work done will be stored as potential energy, and we denote the potential energy term by U. So U will be equal to tau d theta. Suppose d theta is the smallest displacement, then the whole work done, let us put a limit from theta naught to theta 1. Work done to place the dipole from a position of theta naught to theta 1 will be equals to U is equals to integration tau d theta, theta naught to theta 1. From previous chapter, we have already studied torque is equal to P cross E, or it is equals to PE sin theta. As you know, A cross B is equals to AB sin theta. So we will put PE sin theta in the place of tau. The limit is from theta naught to theta 1. It is PE sin theta d theta. After integration, we get PE, and integration of sin theta is minus cos theta, theta naught to theta 1. So here we get minus PE cos theta 1 minus P cos theta 1 minus cos theta 0. As a reference point, we take theta naught is equals to pi by 2. It is just for reference. So U takes the form U is equals to minus PE cos theta 1. So this is the formula when dipole is kept in an external electric field. This is the potential energy of dipole. Case number 1, when theta is equals to 0, means the dipole in uniform electric field lies in this way. If this is your dipole, so this will be the position of dipole when theta is equals to 0. If theta is equals to 0, U is equals to minus P cos 0, and cos 0 is 1. So U is equals to minus P when theta is equals to 0. Next case, we will take case number 2, when theta is equals to pi by 2. When theta is equals to pi by 2, the dipole will be like this. This is plus Q, this is minus Q. So in this case, if we put theta is equals to pi by 2 here, then U will be equal to 0. Our next topic in this chapter is conductor and insulators. So as we know, the conductor is a substance that can be used to carry or conduct electric charges from one place to another, or all metals are the examples of a good conductor. And we know that the conductors contain a large number of free charge carriers that we call free electrons. So here we will discuss the electrostatics of conductors. Here we will discuss some key features of conductors for electrostats. First of them is inside a conductor electric field is 0. Suppose you have a conductor, it could be in any shape. I have taken a spherical shape here. So if it is a conductor, then the electric field is 0 inside it. It means electric field lies only at its surface. Next is, when conductor is put in an external electric field, then conductor gets polarized and electric field is induced inside it. Suppose I have a conductor and there is one uniform electric field, or this is external electric field, and I have put a conductor in this external electric field, then the charge in this conductor gets polarized. Means if this is your external electric field, as you know, the electric field lines emerge from some positive charge and merge at some negative charge. So here will be some positive charge and here will be some negative charge. That's why electric field lines are showing this type of nature. And as the statement says, when conductor is put in external electric field, then conductor gets polarized. By polarizing, we mean it gets like this. Means the charge inside the conductor gets separated in external electric field. It means the charge gets separated and one part is negative charged and other part is positive charged when we put the conductor in external electric field. So as you know, the electric field lines flow from positive charge to negative charge, and inside this conductor you can see there are positive charge separated and there are negative charge separated. So there will be an induced electric field inside it, and the direction of induced electric field will be in opposite direction to external electric field. So this will be the induced electric field inside the conductor. Next is, at the surface of charged conductor, electric field is perpendicular to it. Means if this is your conductor, then electric field lines will be perpendicular to the surface. At any place, if you see the electric field lines, these lines will be perpendicular to the surface. So here is a small question for you. Write the answer in the comment section below, that which line is possible in these three lines. This is a conductor and these lines I have made, one is A, one is B and one is C. So which line is correctly formed? Write on the comment section below. Fourth property is, inside a conductor potential is constant. Suppose this is a conductor, as you know, inside the conductor electric field is 0 but potential is constant. It means V1 will be equal to V2 is equals to V3. As you know, the relation between E and V is E is equals to minus dV over dr. So if electric field is 0, I can write it as 0 is equals to minus dV over dr. So here from this I can say, as the differentiation of this gives 0, so V is equals to constant. So V will be 0 inside a conductor. Next is electric field at the surface of charged conductor. As you know, electric field inside the charged conductor is 0. So here I am talking about the electric field just outside the conductor. As you know, the electric field is just normal to the surface. So let's say this is your charged body and charge is distributed in the surface, and if I want to calculate the electric field just outside the conductor, suppose this is the point where I want to calculate the electric field, and To calculate the electric field, I will make a Gaussian surface. This will be the type of Gaussian surface. As you know, electric field is outside. So, the contribution to the total flux through the cylinder comes only from the outer circular cross section of the cylinder. As you can see, there is no charge inside, so no contribution from this side and no contribution from the cylindrical surface. Why? Because the area vector and electric field vector, there is a 90-degree angle. So contribution is only from the outside circular cross section of the cylinder. So as we know from Gauss's theorem, E dot ds is equal to Q enclosed divided by epsilon naught. Here in the place of E dot ds, I will write E ds only is equals to Q enclosed divided by epsilon naught. As the charge is distributed in the surface, so there is some charge density sigma, and Q enclosed within this small surface, that is ds. Suppose this surface is your ds and whole surface is s. So Q will be equal to sigma into ds. This will be the value of Q enclosed. Here E dot ds, suppose integrating ds, I get delta s. So Q is equals to sigma delta s. I can write it as sigma delta s. So this will be equal to sigma delta s divided by epsilon naught. And from this equation, I can write E is equals to sigma upon epsilon naught. So this will be the value of electric field just outside the surface of a charged conductor. Next is surface charge density is different at different points of an irregularly shaped conductor. By irregular shape, we mean the shape which is not symmetrical. Like if we take a circular shape, you can divide it by a line. Regular surface means the shape of a rectangle, a square, a circle or anything, but irregular shape could be in any shape. Like this is a shape of irregular kind of shape. So when a conductor is placed, irregular shaped conductor is placed in any external field. Suppose this is your external field and I place the irregular shaped conductor in external electric field. The charges on the conductor rearrange themselves. As you know, the conductor gets polarized. So the conductor gets polarized and charges rearrange themselves. So at the points where radius of curvature is small, means this at this point or in this point. Here you can see the radius of curvature is very small compared to this point. This is the smallest and this is the big radius of curvature, and here you can see this is small radius of curvature. So at the points where radius of curvature of is very small, or we can say where area is very small, then sigma will be higher at these points. So sigma will be higher in sharply curved points, and the vice versa is also true. Means sigma will be higher at curved points, and which are less curved, then sigma will be lower at that points which are less curved. So here we close our today's lecture. Thank you for watching this video, and keep watching videos and take care.